WWE Bash in Berlin 2024 delivered one of the most personal mixed tag team matches of the summer when Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley joined forces against Dominik Mysterio and Women's World Champion Liv Morgan. This was not simply another tag team contest. It was about betrayal, revenge, broken friendships, and two former members of the Judgment Day fighting back against the people who had turned their lives upside down. The rivalry had reached a boiling point after SummerSlam 2024. Rhea Ripley had challenged Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship, believing she was finally getting the opportunity to reclaim the title that had been taken from her while she was injured. But the match ended in heartbreak for Rhea when Dominik Mysterio betrayed her. Dominik helped Liv retain the championship, and the betrayal became even more personal when he celebrated with Liv afterward. For Rhea, this was not simply about losing a championship match. It was about losing the person she trusted and seeing Dominik seemingly choose Liv over her. At the same event, Damian Priest experienced his own betrayal. Finn Balor interfered in Priest's World Heavyweight Championship match against Gunther, helping Gunther defeat Priest and take the championship. The Judgment Day that Priest and Rhea once helped build had effectively turned against them. Suddenly, Priest and Rhea found themselves on the outside. But they were not alone. They became the Terror Twins, united by a common goal, revenge. That brought them directly into a collision with Dominik and Liv at Bash in Berlin. WWE officially billed the match as a mixed tag team match, with Priest and Ripley seeking retribution against Dominik and the Women's World Champion. From the opening moments, Damian Priest looked determined to make Dominik pay. Priest started the match against Dominik, and the size and power difference immediately became obvious. Priest dominated Dominik, tossing him around the ring and dropping him with a big boot. Dominik quickly realized that he needed help. He escaped to his corner and tagged Liv Morgan into the match. But that brought Rhea Ripley into the action. Rhea immediately went after Liv, striking her with a dropkick and making it clear that she had not forgotten everything that had happened between them. The crowd understood the emotion behind every attack. This was Rhea against Liv, Priest against Dominik, and, more importantly, two former Judgment Day allies fighting against the people who had betrayed them. But Dominik and Liv were not going to make the match easy. Liv used her speed and intelligence to create an opening for her team. At one point, she distracted Priest, allowing Dominik to knock him into the announce table and steel steps. That moment changed the momentum. Priest had entered the match with complete control, but suddenly Dominik and Liv were finding opportunities to attack him. Liv then continued to use her position as Women's World Champion to her advantage. She knew exactly how important Priest was to Rhea, and she understood that keeping Priest under pressure could give Dominik the advantage. But Priest eventually found his way back to Rhea. Once Rhea entered the match again, the momentum shifted. The Eradicator had been waiting for the opportunity to get her hands on Dominik. And when she finally did, she unleashed weeks of frustration. Rhea attacked Dominik with clotheslines and continued overwhelming him with her physical strength. She even trapped him with a sleeper hold in the corner, leaving Dominik struggling to escape. For Rhea, this was deeply personal. Dominik had once been one of the most important people in her WWE story. Now he was standing across the ring from her as an enemy. The emotional intensity was impossible to ignore. Dominik tried to escape the punishment, but Rhea continued the attack. Then Liv intervened. She pulled Dominik away from Rhea's grasp, giving him an opportunity to recover. Liv followed that up with a backstabber and nearly caught Rhea with a twisting slam and pinfall combination. Suddenly, Liv and Dominik had another chance to steal the victory. But Priest and Rhea were not finished. The match became even more chaotic when the Terror Twins turned their attention toward the rest of the Judgment Day. Priest took out Carlito, JD McDonough, and Finn Balor, sending a clear message that this rivalry was bigger than just Dominik and Liv. Priest wanted everyone who had betrayed him to understand that he was not going away. Rhea wanted the same thing. The Terror Twins had returned to their destructive form. With the other members of the Judgment Day neutralized, Liv was suddenly left alone in the ring. Dominik could no longer save her, and that left Liv face-to-face with Rhea Ripley. Rhea saw her opportunity. She hit Liv with the Riptide. The impact was enough. Rhea covered Liv and secured the victory for herself and Damian Priest. WWE officially recorded the result as Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley defeating Dirty Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan. The victory was important for several reasons. First, Rhea finally got some revenge against Liv. She had lost the Women's World Championship at SummerSlam, and Dominik's betrayal had made that defeat even more painful. Winning at Bash in Berlin did not give Rhea the championship back, but it gave her momentum. Second, Priest got revenge against Dominik and the Judgment Day. His championship loss to Gunther was still fresh, and Finn Balor's betrayal had completely changed his relationship with the faction. Third, the victory established the Terror Twins as a dangerous force. Priest and Rhea were no longer simply former members of the Judgment Day. They were now united against the entire group. And the biggest question became what would happen next. For Liv Morgan, the defeat was a warning. She had successfully retained the Women's World Championship at SummerSlam, but now Rhea had proven that she could still defeat her in a tag team environment. The championship rivalry was far from over. For Dominik, the situation was even more complicated. He had betrayed Rhea, aligned himself with Liv, and become one of the most hated figures in the storyline. But Priest and Rhea had now shown that they could fight back. Bash in Berlin was therefore more than just a match. It was the beginning of a new chapter. The former Judgment Day allies had separated into opposing sides. Priest and Rhea stood together. Liv and Dominik stood together.